strong for the next 4 years.
Can I ask you though, where did it come from? I mean, obviously we all saw the debate together, so that might have been where it began. But yeah. I'm wondering though, you're in a lean red district.
Just waiting for the CGI, guys.
The DCC thinks your race is in play though. Are you worried that a Joe Biden at the top of the ticket would hurt you?
Well, just to correct everything, we chased Lauren Motor out of the district after having the closest race in the cycle, and so we do have a different opponent going forward. Listen, whether it is
catchy, it's pretty catchy.
President Biden or someone else on the ticket, we've done well.
Don't understand a word of it.
A pro-normal party coalition, Democrats, Independents, and Republicans, and we're going to be focused not on national issues, but about the rural aspects of healthcare, securing the border, trying to figure out how to get costs under control. Because for farmers and ranchers and the low-paid steel workers that I proudly get to be representing, I'm focusing on those that are producing things for the country, not so much of the consumer side of things. And that's how we feel like to do very well.
Do you think that Joe Biden on that ticket might drag down some folks out there in those vulnerable districts that are worried? I mean, there's senators out there, there's some areas that, we're not sure they're going to be able to secure this in November. To be able to keep the majority in the Senate. I mean, there's a lot of issues and concerns out there and fears. I mean, do you feel like he could drag people down?
Listen, for the past couple of years, I've tried to just focus on CD3 issues and stuff, and obviously, that's what people talking about. You have to admit, like, listen, on one hand, you want your party to do better. On the other hand, there might be some people that we know voted for Trump and voting for us. We've earned the trust of a lot of people who on the road so much. There's also some people that were going to want Donald Trump but don't want unfettered Donald Trump. They're going to want to divide up particular bit. We've had success focusing on a pro-normal coalition. We're not going to get sucked into others running for president. We're going to do the job, hit the road, and spend time listening to where people are about securing the border, about reducing costs, including mental health crisis that we're having in southern and western Colorado. And that's where we're going to go on. But we're just going to find a president that can lead for the next 4 years. And we'll see where that comes over the next 5 minutes or the next 5 days or, God forbid, the next 5 weeks.
And really quickly here, I just want to ask you.
Hi, guys. Welcome to the Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 1. I have downloaded the Send Patcher, so it should do its thing. Fixes a number of things. And should help the game out a bit with the graphics and everything. What else? This is the there's a lot of information here, okay? Look down below. Click on the link I have there, okay? That link there will send you to I have like a play page set up where it's got all the information there, the arcs. I believe it's the Arbonian arc we're on. I'm not sure. We'd have to go back to that and reread it. So it's all there. So click on it, check it out if you want to know about the lore, what arc you're on, etc., etc. And you'll be all set. If you want to start here, or you can start at Trails in the Sky, which is an older one. That's where is the very, very first one of the series, of the whole thing. So it's Trails in the Sky is the first one. There's 3 of them. And then the next one starts at Trails of Cold Steel 1, I believe. It's very complicated once you look into it.
Well, you hear there, Jamaica now bracing for powerful winds and storm surges. Hurricane Beryl is fast approaching. Fox weather tracking the intense storm still ahead.
Plus, a new Alzheimer's drug is offering hope to patients all across the country. But what are the risks involved here? We're going to talk to Dr. Mark Siegel next.
It's just so normal.
When your child
I like a good normal run.
It's okay for them to show off.
Maybe New Game Plus will do a nightmare just to get the achievements. I don't know. We'll see.
Plenty of reasons to show off their skin. With Dupixent, the #1 prescribed biologic by dermatologists and allergists, they can stay ahead of their eczema. It helps block a key source of inflammation inside the body that can cause eczema to help heal your child's skin from within. These allergic reactions can be severe. Tell your doctor about new or worse such as eye pain or vision changes, including blurred vision, joint aches and pain, or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines without talking to your doctor. Show off to the world. Ask your child's asthma specialist about Dupixent.
Yeah, your worst nightmare. Your car broke down. Now you're worried if it's going to cost you a fortune to repair bill. Unless you already called Car Shield, the legit #1 auto protection company in the country. If you're protecting the plan through Car Shield, the process is smooth like that. It's done in just 3 steps. 1. First, the tow truck takes your car to the shop. The car is towing, covered. You got plans through Car Shield. Next, you probably need to get around while your vehicle is being repaired, right? 2. Plans through Car Shield have rental car options too. Here comes the best part. 3. When you pick up your vehicle, you don't have to bring repair bills. Car Shield administrators get your custom repairs directly from the shop. The back end goes call now.
But everything else they did today was to service
Call Car Shield. You got a small problem like a power window or
It looks like they're
or a big
retired with the
problem
railway guns
like
all
an
along.
engine or transmission.
Which
Could
means
cost
they must
thousands.
be trade conferences across Bell
Car
City.
Shield is the #1 auto protection company in the country.
Can they
Their
possibly sin?
administrators have paid out more than $1 billion in auto protection.
after all.
That's billion with a B. Car Shield is the choice that gives you the Car Shield guarantee. Your rate never goes up, and your coverage never goes down,
This
no
is
matter
absolutely outrageous.
look as the car truck ages,
Please,
the
let
parts
us
and
know.
components are
We don't know if
going
reinforcements are on the way.
It's not
It doesn't look like we have much time left.
Call Car Shield.
We have to stop
Waiting
them
until
before
your
they
car
come
breaks
up with
down
the
is
railway
too late. Call Car Shield for coverage on up to
I don't know
5,000
how much
parts
we can
and
really
get the
do,
Car
but
Shield
considering
guarantee. Where your
alternative,
rate never
we
goes
have to
up
try.
and your coverage never goes down, no matter how much
Let
funds
those
you have.
terrorists
Call
have their way.
800-991-1467. 800-991-1467.
Looks like any attempt to convince you otherwise would fall
People
off.
diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. That's why we've offered a free book about
Green,
mesothelioma.
you and the rest of Group A are with me.
Mesothelioma is really all we do. Call
Group B,
800-500-602
you'll be under command of Major
or go to
Nighthawk.
One
mesobook.com.
group will secure the gun.
I managed to get the last one
The
for
other group will secure the
$190. I
left.
booked the last
This
one
is
a
an
week
actual
ago.
combat
Yesterday,
situation.
some sites
Real
have
life
humans
stake.
working their restaurants.
I expect a
Instead,
bunch from each.
there's wholesale prices from hundreds of sites, so you can save up to $50 a night. Hotel,
The temperature breeze makes sleep feel cool, so no more sweating all night or blasting your condition. Because the Timber Breeze feels up to 10 degrees cool all night long. During the July 4th sale, save $500 on cool Timber Breeze mattresses. Celebrating our nation. Celebrate America's
Our
birthday
objective
with
is to
patriotic
stop the
messages
activation of the
and
railway.
fireworks across the country. During Lawrence, Joey, Carly, and Aisha and Ed for the big Independence Day
We've learned a
special.
lot at the academy.
Presented by
Time to
Tunnel
put
to
that knowledge to
Towers.
the test.
When you can't watch, listen. Get the latest news, business, and news headlines on SiriusXM. Anytime, anywhere. Fox News Audio on SiriusXM. America is listening.
okay, you're gonna hate this story. It's a 6-day work week. It's now in effect for some businesses in Greece. Greece is now the first country in the entire European Union to add an extra day on the job. The Prime Minister says the move is worker-friendly and growth-oriented. Okay. Labor unions
Should autosave here.
calling the move far
Unfortunately, I don't think it did. Let's see.
Worker-friendly. What do you think, Bill? I feel like if you work in Washington, you already work like 7 days a week, so.
I wonder if the workers think it's worker friendly. And like my biggest question would be, what about the people on salary? Do they just work a 6th day and then do they get a bump in pay? Or what happens with that? But yeah, you're right. You and I know the schedule. We do it all the time.
That's true.
Well, a breakthrough moment for Alzheimer's patients as the FDA approves a new treatment option. The drug, Kisula, from Eli Lilly, has been shown to modestly delay the progression of the disease, but there are still some concerns about any risks it may pose. For more on that, Dr. Mark Siegel is joining me now. Doctor, thank you so much for coming on.
Hi, Bill. Good to be with you.
Likewise. So let's talk about the positives first. The early results show that the drug does kind of slow down the onset of dementia symptoms for a span of several this. How does it work?
Well, it's about 6 months saved over an 18-month period of time that was studied. It blocks the buildup of amyloid, beta amyloid protein. There's 3 things that are involved with Alzheimer's. The beta amyloid proteins, the tau proteins, they're called plaque proteins, and then inflammation in the brain. That's what's involved. This just basically gets rid of those plaque proteins. And the advantage of the new drug, Kusula, is that once you're rid of the proteins, it doesn't look like they come back. So they're arguing, Lilly is arguing, that you can take this drug over several months, and over about an 18-month period, 70% get rid of those proteins. So your treatment stops, but it's very expensive, $32,000 a year. Medicare expected to cover it. As you said, it's a mild impact of about 6 months, but if you have the problem, that's a big plus. So that's the plus side of this.
And if we can pull up those photos of these brain scans one more time, Eli Lilly released these photos here. They're brain scans of folks who have tried the drug, and they say it shows the drug's impacts. I've got no idea what I'm looking at here, so I'm hoping they kind of explain what this is. Explain the different colors and the progression of what we're seeing in these brain scans with this drug.
Well, it's easy, by the way, Bill. It'll take about 10 seconds to learn this. The red is the buildup of those bad proteins I'm talking about. When the red starts to go away, it means that the proteins are being reabsorbed because the drug is an antibody. Remember, we've been talking about monoclonal antibodies a lot. It's an antibody that literally attacks this particular protein and stops its buildup. So that's the red there. So it's effective, but again, that's not the whole story with Alzheimer's. We worry about the inflammation that's caused by it. We worry about other proteins called tau that doesn't really attack them. And you know, we're doing previous studies. By the way, Greece is crazy because the less you work, the more you sleep, the more you're engaged in games, and you eat a Mediterranean diet, the less likely your Alzheimer's is going to build up in the first place. So this drug is more or less for people who you think are at high risk of advancing. The downside to this drug, and this is big, is that still 1/4 of those studied end up with brain swelling or bleeding, and that's minor, small amounts of it, not a lot of it in most cases, but that's a very serious side effect, and that's why a lot of neurologists are torn on this. Yes, it's some impact. Yes, it's a tool to have against Alzheimer's, but there's serious side effects.
One last question here. Alzheimer's obviously such a demoralizing disease, and families who have loved ones who are suffering from it are willing to do almost anything to get some more quality time with their loved ones before the dementia symptoms get too bad. For any families who are maybe considering looking at this drug and maybe want to try it out, what's your advice to them on balancing out the possible risks versus the possible benefits of the drug?
Well, you already nailed that as usual. It's a family disease. That's what's so sad about it. 6 million people, but it's going up towards 15 million people. It devastates families. So families have to consider how much quality of life is left. Of course, the patient has to be the one who makes the decision. How much quality of life is left versus the benefit of this, which slows it down, does not stop it. It slows it down versus the risks of bleeding. That's what you have to, or swelling. That's what you have to figure out. The good news is we got better treatments on the horizon than this. This is on the way to better and better treatments. We're going to get to a point where we can stop Alzheimer's before it happens. There's some new drugs being studied on inflammation that look extremely good. So hold on to your hat for the next 2 or 3 years. You're going to have even more advanced treatments coming out.
My turn.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, this drug in particular, Kisuma, a price tag of $32,000. So hopefully more drugs are coming in the future, as you just said. Dr. Mark Siegel, thank you so much for your time today. I should.
All right, so we just had a 2-minute warning from the White House, and we're watching the briefing room very closely here as they get ready for the second briefing after that disastrous debate with President Biden. They are trying to clean this up as quickly as possible. And this briefing, by the way, Bill, comes amid this bombshell New York Times report where they say they've got a source telling them that President Biden talked with an ally and said that he is weighing whether or not to continue to stay in this race. Big bombshell report that just dropped this afternoon, Bill.
Yeah, and Kareem Jean-Pierre likely going to be playing a whole lot of defense again today. That press room yesterday was very active and very aggressive with their questioning. Spokesman of the White House, Andrew Bates, he already pushed back on that New York Times reporting, saying the New York Times only gave them 7 minutes to respond. They're denying it. We'll see what Karine Jean-Pierre has to say about that. But look, she's also going to get questions about what President Biden reportedly said at that fundraiser last night, that he almost fell asleep on the stage, that he was too tired after his international trip. Aisha, he had 12 days between getting back from that foreign trip and the debate, and much of that time was spent at Camp David, where he was resting. So I don't know how that excuse is going to fly in that press room then.
And what's interesting right now is, there she goes. She's going to start speaking right now. Let's go ahead and listen in.
I have a couple things at the top. So I want to begin by sharing that Biden-Harris administration is announcing a significant new security assistance package for Ukraine as the United States continues to support Ukraine's defense against Russia's invasion. This announcement is the 7th security assistance package that President Biden has authorized to help Ukraine since he signed the National Security Supplemental in April. It includes missiles for Ukraine's air defense systems, ammunition for high-mobility artillery, rocket systems, artillery rounds, and other critical capabilities that are being drawn down from U.S. stocks using presidential drawdown authorities. It also includes new funding that the Department of Defense will use to purchase interceptors for Patriot and NASAM air defense systems to help Ukraine defend its troops and its cities against Russia's air threats. The United States support over the last few months has been critical in helping Ukraine defend their territory against Russia's advances. Thanks to the bravery of Ukrainian forces and weapons delivery to the United States and our partners, it is increasingly clear the Russian offensive on Kyiv has been a failure. And as President Biden has been clear, we are committed to
certainly not shy about bringing out the big guns
until they prevail against Russian aggression. So I want to share a bit of additional updates for all of you before we start. I know some of you are trying to confirm some of this information I'm about to share, so I'll do it right now. At the podium, the President has connected with Leader Jeffries, Senate Majority Leader Schumer, Representative Clyburn, former Speaker Pelosi, and Senator Coons. Today, President Biden taped 2 radio interviews that will air tomorrow morning. One is with Earl Ingram on Civic Media Network, which airs across Wisconsin, and one with Andrea Lawful-Sanders on WURD's The Source in Philadelphia. And as Governor Wolf of Minnesota announced today, the President will meet with more than 20 Democratic governors. Now, as you know, these governors are some of our closest partners when it comes to creating jobs, building bridges, and so much more. And so the President certainly looks forward to meeting with them. And with that, I'm happy to take your questions. So then,
Second floor.
Leave it to me.
So, just a couple of things. I do appreciate the question because you know, the President has certainly spoken to this many times about the debate, and so he had an opportunity to do that in front of supporters. And as you just stated, he did that. He talked about, he owned that the debate was not his best night, and he said himself, it's not an excuse, but it's an explanation. I was standing here yesterday, and many people were asking why and what's the explanation, and that's what you heard from him. Look, the two, I think, in addition to the 2 major trips, he was also continued to do his presidential duties. He worked late in doing that, and he also prepared for the debate. And on top of that, there was obviously the jet lag that you just asked about, and also he had a cold. And you all heard directly, you heard from him during the debate. He had a hoarse voice. Many of you reached out to me and my team and some other members of the White House asking what was going on, and confirmed that he had a cold. And so I think those 2 things, continuing obviously to do his duties as Commander-in-Chief, as the President. And so I think some of you here in this room could certainly relate to what can happen when you're having an important moment and you're not feeling well, and also you wish you could have done better. And so he took ownership. I think
Leave it
that's
to me.
important. And he's going to continue to make a strong case for his agenda, and that's what you're going to see. And he was given an explanation, and that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to get that out there for people to hear directly from him, as he has been doing since Friday of last week. I would say only it's I think some of your colleagues reached out to us about the schedule. Some of your colleagues asked if the schedule was too strenuous or was it because of the jet lag, and so we are laying out and explaining exactly what happened. You heard from the president, you heard from me, and it was indeed a schedule where the president traveled 6 time zones forward to G7 in Italy, 9 time zones back to LA, and 3 time zones forward again to DC. That's something that the curricular on that day laid out for all of you and those who read the full notes. And on top of that, he did have a cold. So it is an explanation. I don't think it is an addition. I don't think it's... We certainly don't want to explain this away. But you all asked me for an explanation yesterday. The president gave that directly yesterday to the supporters. He wanted to make sure that all of you would get that information as he's speaking to his supporters last night. Sure. Why would you do that on Friday? Why would you do this sort of thing? Why would you do that? I was asked a similar question by one of your colleagues yesterday. And look, the president obviously right after the debate, he visited 4 states in 2.5 days, gave a couple of remarks. He met with supporters, whether at the Waffle House or in Atlanta at a watch party, or in North Carolina where there were hundreds of supporters there, and in Raleigh. And so he was busy dealing with his schedule, and also speaking directly and engaging with his supporters, and then spend time with his family. I think what's important is that he has done this outreach. He's having these conversations. It is important to him to do so. And the folks that I laid out that he spoke to or some of them have been his colleagues. Some of them have been elected officials that he's known for some time. Obviously, Leader Jeffries is a new relationship that he has, someone that he obviously respects. And so, it is important to note that there were strong conversations. That's something that the president told me, my team, directly moments ago. He was walking around and we happened to see the president, and he said there were strong conversation. And by the way, he looks great. The vice president is great, but they're ready to continue working on the American people. So, great.
It's just like I am considering stepping down.
Absolutely not. And you heard, I believe, directly from the campaign as well.
Now of concern from Democrats, from donors, from supporters. Doesn't he owe it to the American public to reflect on whether he should step down?
I mean, look, it very much into Simon's question, and my answer to a question where he had an opportunity to talk to supporters. He's done it a couple times at this point, and laid out talked about how he understands, and it was not his best night. He understands that it is fair for people to ask that question. But we cannot forget his record and what he's been able to do. We cannot forget how he's been able to deliver for the American people for almost 4 years. That matters too. And he has the most historic record administration, the most in politics, and that should matter. And he wants to continue to do that work. And a lot of what's on his agenda is very much popular with the majority of the American people, whether it's continuing to build a stronger economic policies. He's done that. Creating new jobs, he's done that. 15 million jobs, he wants to work on that and continue to do that. And so he wants to continue to deliver, expanding healthcare. All of these things he believes is important. The majority of Americans believe is important. And in his record, he wants to make sure that people do not forget about the record that he's been able to lay out on behalf of the American people.
Is there any date frame that will change his mind?
Look, I cannot lay out something that would change the president's mind. He has been very clear, and he's going to continue to build on the unprecedented record that he's been able to lay out for the American people. That's his focus.
That's the power of the elites.
What does the president do outside the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m.?
Well, you heard him speak to supporters yesterday outside of 4 p.m. You saw the president land in North Carolina in the middle of the night at 2 o'clock.
A self-destruct.
What was he doing? He was greeting supporters. Hundreds of supporters that showed up to cheer him on after the debate. You saw him speaking at 9 o'clock at night in New York in front of supporters. So he's been pretty much out there after the hours of 4 p.m. and before 10 a.m. for sure. And so that has been something he's consistently done over the past couple of days for sure.
Guns.
No!
Let me be very clear about this. This is a president that wakes up every morning and puts the American people first. That's what he does. He does that every single day. That is his focus. I am not going to speak to sources out there, unnamed sources out there. That's not what I'm going to speak to. I'm going to speak to what I know, what this president does, and how he is committed to the work of the president, of the commander-in-chief. And his record clearly lays that out and speaks to it. And that's what he's going to continue to do. The American people first, and delivering for them.
Can you also clarify Simon's question? Sure. How is it that the president was still tired 12 days after returning from Europe, had a cold, and then went to the Waffle House, and then the following day staged such a huge comeback that he gave those North Carolina remarks? Like, help us understand. Okay,
So you know, well, come on. Let's be real.
those are days after he returned, though. And you also jet lag yesterday.
Hold on a second. There's a cold, there's a jet lag. You combine that. He continues to work on the for the American people, the day in and day out, around the clock. Things happen. And the cold thing is something that you all pointed out during his debate. We didn't even point that out. You all pointed out when you heard his voice being hoarse. Because he knew he had to push through. He knew he has to power through. That's what presidents do. If you care about this country, you don't care about yourself. You care about the American people. You care about delivering for this country. You care about how you're going to continue to work every day in and day out. You push through. We've all done that as all these Democrats.
We want to see that.
But
Until we go to that.
We didn't share that information ahead of time. We all asked what was going on, and then we shared that information. We didn't use that before the debate. We all asked, hey, is he under the weather? And we confirmed that he was under the weather. He pushed through. That's what this president does. He is going to continue to fight for the American people. So he pushed through it. I think anybody who does that, not just the president, should be commended. And he also said, you heard him say this on Friday, when you get knocked down, you get back up. That's what you saw.
Is there any discussion that if the president were to suspend his campaign, that he would also resign? Are there any discussions about the vice president assuming his duties?
Absolutely not. Okay.
Does the president have a duty to review data, like polling information that's coming in, donor information, the fears and concerns or anxieties expressed by Democrats? Does he have a duty to review what's happening now? What do you say? A duty?
Can you say more about the duty piece?
He's absolutely right.
He's saying that, and I'm sharing with you his view.
And we would invite the president to come here and talk about it directly.
Absolutely.
As you heard from your colleague, the president of the WHA,
That's inappropriate. Thank you, Colin.
my question is, information is coming in, assessment is happening within the party. Does he have a duty to review that? Has he closed the door on reviewing the data?
So, I'm going to be really mindful of those you're
The
asking.
Ministry of Railways wishes to thank all passengers for their patronage. This train is
What
bound
I
for
will
Berea
is that
via
this is a president that
Keldick.
looks at
The next
everything,
stop
takes
is
in all the information.
Trista.
It's important to him to do
Trista.
so. I
We
don't
will
want
be
to get
stopped
into
at
hypotheticals here.
Trista for
That's not
1
what I'm
minute.
here to do.
When
What I
disembarking,
can say
please
is
ensure
this
no
moment,
belongings are
moving
left
forward
behind.
on building on this unprecedented record that the president has been able to lay out for the American people. And that's going to be our focus. I don't want to get into hypotheticals. I don't want to get ahead into anything else. To reviewing this to work. What I can say is the president is moving forward. He's moving forward as being president. He's moving forward with his campaign. As his campaign has been very, very clear about that. That's what I can speak to, and that's what I can say. And that is the president's focus. The president's focus is how does he continue to do that work? And anything else that we're hearing or that's being reported is absolutely false.
Is the president telling people he's evaluating the
Absolutely false. That is absolutely false. I saw that reporting. We were not given enough time to get back to that reporting, just a couple of minutes, and we asked the president. The president responded directly when asked about this question because we said that we would. And the president said it is absolutely false. That's coming directly from him.
What steps would the president be taking, or would you as a team plan to try to prevent another episode in public that would be deemed worrisome?
I would not call it an episode. I would call it we had a bad night. Right? It was not his best night. He had a cold. He was jet lagged. You heard directly from the president about this. And when we get knocked out, when he gets knocked out, he gets right back up. And that's what I would focus on. The president continuing to be very steady and continuing to work on for the American people.
Just to follow on Kelly's question, do you think the president feels like these coming days are very critical for him as you read on all these events that he's going to be doing? Are these events very important for him to show the American people that he's still
I'll be spending the next 2
I would
years
say
here.
that this moment is
How long it'll
critical,
be before I think of it
regardless
as
of the
home.
debate or
But
not.
yeah,
We're living in an
think I'm
important
gonna like
moment
it.
right now. Everything is at stake. And I gotta be mindful because this is all connected to what's happening in November. And I think any leader would say they always have to prove to themselves to, to their constituents, right?
should have picked
It is a day in and day out work. And yes, the president's going to have engagement. He's going to be out there speaking to the American people. Obviously, we mentioned Wisconsin. He's going to do an interview in Wisconsin as well. We talked about Pennsylvania. But the president was also out last week.
Yeah.
Atlanta, North
that's
Carolina,
the magic of springtime
where
for
we saw
you.
supporters. This is a president that has
hope everything in your case
consistently
is
out
okay.
there talking
Oh,
directly
don't
to
worry
the
about
American
that.
people.
You'll be fine.
He understands. As you asked me about the economy,
too, huh?
and what people are feeling, he understands that they have to hear
Yeah.
directly from him.
But now that you
And he has
mention
to
it,
continue to do that
almost
so that
everyone
he
else
can
on the
lay
train
out
had a
his
green
agenda.
jacket.
He can lay
One
out
of the
what he
few I've
wants
seen
to
in
continue
red.
to do.
Didn't really
It's
think about
always
it
going to
until
be
now.
part
I just put
of
on the uniform they
the
sent me.
calculation,
I haven't
right?
given
To
it much
continue
thought until I
to
got
prove
here
to the
either.
American people
Yeah, like
that
you
he
said,
can
they're
continue
gonna
to
do
do
other
the work
supporting
and
them
deliver
too,
for the
so I
American
doubt it's
people.
gonna stick.
Deliver on behalf of the American people.
Jeff had the staff meeting today.
Maybe it means we'll end up being classmates.
Trying to come across him. Is there a morale issue?
Anyway, I should get going.
It's a fair
I'm
question.
feeling
I
to
do have a
see each
couple
other
things I
again
want
at
to
the
say. As you
entrance
just said,
there.
the chief of staff, Jeff Sides, did have an all-staff call. He wanted to gather the team across the building and acknowledge what the president said himself, right? That the last few
Totally
days
forgot to
have been
ask your name.
challenging. We've been very, very clear in acknowledging.
I'm sure we'll run into each other
But
later.
we have had an extraordinary
Right, though.
record to be
It is
proud
weird
of,
that there's so
and we
few
know
of
we
us
have
around.
more work to do.
There
He
isn't
says
enough
that
to
all
make
the
it,
time.
Thomas?
He can convey the importance of executing on our mission.
Board group
He
that's
talked
sitting
about the
there
importance of
pretty
coming
strange,
together as a
too.
team and also having each
Sure
other's
looks a lot
backs.
fancier than
And
the
so
standard issue ordnance,
he
that's
also
for sure.
said, which I think was really important, and I think every staff wants to hear, that the chiefs of staff door is open and is
Guess there's
open
no point in
to
racking my
hearing
brain over it.
directly from them
Someone will
any
probably explain
questions
it
or
during
any
orientation.
concerns.
Those military
I
academies
think
in the
that's what
north
you do
side
as
of
a
town.
leader.
I've still got some time to look around before the entrance
It's great.
ceremony.
There are so many
It'd be
questions right
pretty
now
awkward
about
to
whether
be late the
President
first
Biden
day.
can do this job. Why are we not seeing the president out there every single day in an unscripted way about helicopters? Well, you're going to see him today, certainly, and I know you're asking about the teleprompter. You're going to see him tomorrow, right? 4th of July. You'll have an opportunity to welcome active duty military and their families, and certainly their loved ones here on the South Lawn, as he does every year. And I think that's going to be important. He'll be able to engage with them and thank them directly. And you'll see him in Wisconsin, and you'll continue to see him obviously in the upcoming weeks. Look, it is not unusual for a president to use a teleprompter. It isn't. It is not unusual. That is something that presidents have done in the past. I think what we also have to remember, and I keep saying this because I think it's important to not forget that he has the strongest economic recovery in modern history. He has led a historic midterm win when everybody was talking about a red wave, and he's been able to defy that and deliver by being a leader, right? Obviously,
Future fishing spot.
Democratic leader, and he's going to continue to work to get lower costs. I think that matters. I think his record certainly matters, and you are going to see him, continue to see him, having interviews. He's going to do ABC, as you know. Trust is one of your colleagues. That's not scripted. And
I
he
pray
has
you
done
find victory here in both your studies and your training.
Interviews do not have the script this year alone. So you'll see him out there connecting with engaging with the
Thank
American
you,
people.
Prince.
And I think that's
I'm leaving everything in your hands while Father is away.
Understood,
Why doesn't the
my
president
lady.
just come in right now and answer this briefing room all the questions? You asked me a couple things. You asked when is he going to be unscripted? He has
Please
been.
excuse my
He went
rudeness,
to
young sir.
visit a diner
It truly is a splendid day, is it not?
a couple
The
days ago.
start of a new chapter in the lives of so many promising
Met with some of
youths.
the supporters in Atlanta, North Carolina,
Allow me to
just to support
express
Chimera.
my sincerest
He certainly had an
congratulations on
opportunity
your
to engage.
admittance into
Friday,
this
he's going to
fine
be
academic
taking some
institution.
questions from one of your colleagues. I think that's going to be important. We're going to continue to engage with all of you. We're going to certainly looking forward to doing that. We'll have a press
I'm guessing
conference
he's a butler?
next week.
He certainly looks the part.
At NATO press conference.
That means the
Big board
great
press
wisdom
conference
must
is
have
just
been
a
noble.
Bloomberg
He
State
did have a
history.
certain dignity about it.
And so we'll do that. It's just looking forward to it.
Military
President Biden has always promised to tell the American people the truth. So can you be straight with us and the American people? Is the president clear-eyed about what it takes to stay in the race, and what it would take for him to drop out?
The president is
So
clear,
this is it.
and he is staying in the race. I don't have anything else beyond that. He's staying in the race. That is what the president is promised to do. That is what he wants to continue to work on the successes that he's had. His record is unprecedented
Thor's
record.
Military
And that
Academy.
is what the president is focused on, continuing to deliver for the American people. And he looks forward to doing that.
The NATO summit is coming up next week. Is the president
Founded by the legendary
debate
Emperor Dracos himself.
presidential election could cast a shadow over your goals for the NATO summit? Does he make any effort to reach out to the NATO leaders like he's coming to sort of assure them that this is going to do that agenda?
So, as you stated, next week the president's going to host the NATO summit here in Washington, D.C. It is also the 75th year anniversary of NATO. And let's not forget, NATO has become stronger and has gained 2 more countries because of this president's leadership. And all very much important in doing so is very much important in stopping and helping to stop Putin's aggression as Ukraine continues to fight strongly for their freedom
That
and
won't be
democracy. Look,
necessary. I prefer to
foreign
avoid
leaders have
standing
seen
up
the
to it.
president close up. They have.
Sure.
And
This isn't open for debate. Take a little rest
close
and
up
leave,
and
then return to
personally
where I
for the
am.
past 3 years. And I think that's
As you
important to
would.
know. They know who
She'll
they're
be the
dealing
one.
with and how effective he has
Your
been.
ties
We just
bring
talked
him
about
his little
how
hole,
NATO has
little
expanded because of his leadership. NATO is stronger because of his leadership. And I think that's important to note as well. And so, look, you're going to see the president being a leader in front of these world leaders. You're going to see the president continue to bring these world leaders together. And as it relates to what's happening
Looks
currently,
like even Carabonia's upper crusts send their
he
children here.
understands the criticism. He gets the criticism. He has owned up to it. But he also wants to move forward and continue to deliver on the really critical, important issues that the American people care about. When you think about NATO, you think about foreign policy, it is important to continue our world leadership on that, being leaders and strengthening our national security as well. And that is how the president thinks about this day in day.
Yes, that's me. It's a pleasure to meet you. But How do you know?
It's a long story. Don't sweat the details right now.
That's your weapon you've got wrapped up? I'll need to hold on to that for the time being. Oh, right. They mentioned something about that in the guidebook. Hey, you should be able to return it to you before long. You'll hardly even miss it.
The entrance ceremony is going to be held in the auditorium.
Look, I can't speak to the operation he made. I have not spoken to him for so much affairs, so I can't speak to that. What I can say is
Hope these next 2 years will
certainly
be a
has
fruitful
looked
time.
forward to working with Democratic leaders and congressional members over the past 3 years and talking about his record. Certainly his record.
I guess those two must be second years.
He's done. He could
Uncle
have done.
definitely looked younger than me, though. What was that about me being the
Appreciates his
last?
obviously his support and his partnership. I can't speak to outreach. It's not something that was talked about.
I'll just clean up my locker. I'm happy to be gone, to tell you the truth.
The president. He's like, he just brought me up in the brief room and I have something to say.
Sounds like it's about time for the ceremony
I
to
would
start, though.
also note that
Here's to the start of a
I
great
don't
2
have any
years.
additional calls to read out or to lay out. One of the reasons.
Now, if I may, I'd like to say a few words in closing about this Academy's illustrious history.
Got back to you, all of you, about that. And as you know, he's going to meet with Democratic governors, as I just stated at the top. So he's going to continue to do engagement. It is important. So again, some of these leaders, he could not have delivered on this record.
Thor's Military Academy was founded almost 220 years ago.
So I'll just leave it there.
Its founder, as I'm sure you're all aware, was none other than the great Emperor Dracos. The very same emperor who ended the War of the Lions and returned prosperity to the Erebonian Empire. 30 years after becoming emperor, in the later years of his life, he opened the doors of this institution. It was to be a place where young people like yourselves could learn the art of war.
In North Carolina, the president spoke to his debate performance.
But with the mechanization of the military, many of our graduates now pursue careers outside the army. Our mission, however, remains the same: to prepare our students to fulfill Emperor Draco's famous mandate. Arise, O youth, and become the foundation of the world. Though much has happened these past 2 1/4 centuries, the world is still the domain of the young. Yet still the question remains, what qualities must one possess to become a part of its foundation? I hope this credo will serve as a guide and an inspiration to you during your 2 years at this academy. Go forth, my students. The world awaits the great things you will one day accomplish.
So the White House has said to release
The foundation of the world, huh? No pressure, right? No kidding. No, this is Dracos the Lionheart we're talking about. He didn't earn his nickname by taking it easy, though. Guess we've got more to worry about than just passing exams, huh? I guess we do.
So I would say, Jay, to your question, that what we have released over the
I'm
past
Elliot
3
Craig.
years, every
Nice
year
to meet
since
you.
he's been in
Green
office,
Schwarzer.
has been transparent.
Hey, looks like we're sporting the same school fashion.
Comprehensive. It has been one of the
No idea
most
what the red
transparent,
uniform
we
is
have been
supposed
one
to
of the most
mean, though.
transparent
Most of
administration
the other students
when
are
it comes
wearing
to
green.
records.
Yeah,
That is
except for the ones in the white uniforms. Those
what
must be
we've
the
been able to
nobles.
do. And I would add
Looks that way.
that
Oh.
it is not the norm
Something wrong?
to bring the doctor
thinking
to the
to myself.
podium.
And that
is not
brings
the
us to
norm.
the close of Thor's
And
215th
this
entrance
president
ceremony.
directly has owned up to
Next,
what
please
happened
proceed to the
at
class
debate
designated in
last
your
Thursday.
guidebook.
He's talked about it
There, you will go
multiple
over the
times.
school rules
And,
as well as your
and
class's
directly
curriculum.
to supporters, directly to the American people. And what we want to do is continue to certainly deliver on the record accomplishments that we've been able to do.
I understand that you feel like the White House has been thorough in the medical records
That is all.
released, but obviously
Dismiss.
these questions in large part because of
The class designated in our guidebook. I don't remember seeing anything like that. There wasn't any information on that in mine either.
What I can tell you is that we have been transparent.
I just assumed they'd tell us where to go after the ceremony.
All right, students in red uniforms, if I can have your attention, please. By now you're probably all confused. Where's my class assignment, you're probably thinking. That's perfectly understandable. Your situation is a little more complicated than the other students. But before I explain, I'd like all of you to join me for a special orienteering exercise. Did you mean an orientation exercise?
That is part of,
Worry not.
definitely part of
Everything will be made clear soon enough. Now, right this way.
I did know that. I did know that. But we were so focused. I was so focused on the cold, and that's what I kind of leaned into and talked about. But yes, his schedule did have something to do with it. It was the schedule
Looks like
and
we're
the
gonna
cold,
have to
and
follow
I
her
was
for one of the answers.
Yeah, sure.
This is all about.
Referred to himself as a transition candidate. He also said background that he would be a bridge to the next generation of Democratic leaders. Does he still believe that?
I have no idea.
Yes,
We're
I
not
mean,
going
I
to
think
accomplish
he
anything
stated
just standing around here.
one of the
We should go with
reasons
her.
why he picked the vice president, Kamala Harris, is because she is the future of the party. And he's very proud to partner with her and continue to partner with her in delivering an unprecedented record for the American people. And I think he's going to continue certainly to do that. They're going to do that as partners. Like I said, I just saw them before walking into the briefing room. They stopped by to talk to me and my team, and they're ready to go. They're ready to continue.
So the transition would happen in 8 years.
I mean, I'm not going to get into speculation from
Why
here.
is there a building this
But you asked
dilapidated
me
on
if that
campus?
remarks
It looks like it should have been torn down ages ago.
President Biden was fatigued during the debate because of overseas travel. That was 12 days beforehand.
What does she even want us to do here?
Questions about this ability to
Ever going to tell us what's going on?
I suppose we'll just have to go inside and see for ourselves what awaits us.
I think there's multiple factors here to consider. There was the travel,
This place
the
looks
travel
like
went to
Summerlin's
cold,
haunted mansion or something.
and I think that matters as well. And I think we've all
Now
been
that you
there.
mention it, it kind of does.
It is not
I
unusual.
think this is everyone I've
And
seen
what the
with
president
red
did is he
uniforms so
pushed
far.
through.
I guess
He
we
did.
really
He
are
pushed
part of the
forward and
same
he
class
pushed through.
then.
And that's what you saw him do. And look, you heard me say this yesterday, and you heard directly from the president say this multiple times. When you get knocked down, you get back up. Joe Biden is someone
These
who
are new
has faced,
underclassmen, huh?
tragedies. And
They've got
he's
a
taken
different
them
set of
on.
hoops to jump through
And
than
when
we
he
did.
does that, he gets right back up. And that's how we see that day. That's how we see that night.
What's his
I'm
message
just
to
happy all our work's
today?
going
I mean, is he trying
I'd
to
hate to
instill
appear to use
confidence
worth
in
of
them
effort for
in
nothing.
them
Ain't that the
can
truth?
run effectively?
When did you do any work? You were just slacking off the whole time.
Says the master slacker.
He
Still,
shared with me
looks like
those
Elisa's got some
conversations
stiff
were strong.
competition.
And I
Quite
think
a
that's
bevy of
important
beauties
to
they've got
note.
there.
I'm not going to go into
And I'm
details,
looking forward to
but
getting intimate
the president's
with
going
you
to, continue to have those direct conversations
You know one of them?
with leaders, with supporters.
No,
He
no,
believes it's
not these
important
ones
to
too.
united,
Stop flirting with every damn girl you lay eyes on.
united, and some of them have spoken.
Do you have
to
any
this.
idea
They've
how
been
many
very
guys at
clear.
this school
I've
have
spoken
gotten their
on
hearts
television,
broken
spoken to
because
some
of
of
your
you
libido?
in your reporting, and said that very
Did you
clearly.
just sneer at me? Well, you did, didn't you?
Come on now, no fighting, you two.
Vice President Harris's lunch today. Do you know if they discussed?
Well, look who finally made it. Nice work.
You got our little chickadees all sorted out.
Just
I
stated
think.
that the
Yep,
president
they're all
is
bright-eyed
not
and ready to go.
dropping out. That's something that the
So from here on out,
campaign
we're
has
gonna have
shared.
to
So
give
just
it all
repeating
we've got to
what
support
the
this
campaign
budget
has
class.
shared. They regularly have
Now you
lunch.
sound the part of the student
And
council
I'm not
president.
going to get into
Yeah, she's
private
going all in.
conversation. And I
I'd
would
be in
also
for a pretty
say
rough time if we didn't
that
help
the
out a
vice
little.
president
At least to start with, anyway.
spoke to
Everything's ready over
CBS
there,
just
right?
yesterday.
You betcha.
And you
Just
can
like
see
the
what she
instructor
said
asked.
herself. And I think that's important
Can't
to
help
note
but
as
feel a
well.
little sorry for
Also
you.
ask, you mentioned that
Same here. We've got no idea what they're being tossed into.
so his fault is directly tied to him
The
traveling,
class
or
they've
is it
been
just he
picked
got
for
the
didn't
cold
even exist before this year.
regularly?
What I can tell you is he traveled.
Guess all
then
we
he
can
got
do is
cold.
watch and see what they're made of,
That's what
right?
happened. Can I go to that?
mentioned a few times that President's proud of his record. He wants to continue his work building on that record. I'm trying to understand how that's relevant to assessment, self-reflection by him on whether or not he's physically capable to continue.
I think it is an assessment. I think the fact that he's able to work across the aisle, get really big bipartisan
The name's Sarah
legislation done.
Valentine.
He's been able to get us out of the pandemic, able to
I'm
get
the
the
instructor in
economy
charge of
back
Class
on
7, which
its feet. I think
means
that
you
shows
get the
leadership.
pleasure of seeing
And I think
me
that's
all
important,
year.
right?
Glad to finally
He's
meet
making
you.
these decisions on behalf of the American people.
Plus
And he's
7?
able to do that because of his wisdom. And I think that all of his information is what
I'm
we
not
get
sure I
today.
understand. I wasn't told anything about this anymore.
Excuse me, Instructor Sarah? I'm under the impression that there were only 5 classes at this academy, and that students were divided on their social class and home region.
Right you are, Miss Top Scorer on the Thor's entrance exam. Students in each year are divided into 5 classes, 2 for the nobility and 3 for commoners. And it's been that way for ages, right up through last year. But this year, we decided to shake things up a little.
I want to be really mindful.
We now have a 6th class, fittingly titled Class 7. And in
What I
Class
can
7,
say
we
is,
recognize
right
no
now,
distinction between nobles and commoners.
where the president is,
Wait, you
he's
just jumped
continuing,
straight from 5 to
continuing
7?
to fight for the American people, continuing to
You're
build
really
an
putting
economy
nobles and
that works for
commoners
all,
in the
continue
same
to
class?
create good paying jobs,
This must be some kind
expand
of joke.
healthcare. That is the
Why is this the
president's
first
focus.
I've heard of it?
That is the president's
Well,
focus. Anything else related to the campaign, I will refer you to the campaign to speak to that directly as it relates to data. That is not something that I can't be a pundit for.
Matthias Regnitz. And with all due respect, Instructor, it's ludicrous to intermix nobles and commoners like this. I've been forced to spend my next 2 years shoulder to shoulder with those arrogant, stuck-up hedonists.
You do know I'm not the one who made the decision, right? Besides, what's the big deal anyway? You're all kids. Can't you all just get along or
So,
something?
Just get along?
I want to
And how would you propose we do that?
Michael here. We've seen the false allegations of U.S. involvement in the events of
What's
Bolivia
your
in June
problem?
26th. I know that's something
Oh,
that has
nothing
come up a
much.
couple times.
I
And
just
so
find the
I
irony
want
of
to
your
make sure that
behavior
it's
rather
clear that the
humorous.
U.S. had no involvement in
Is
that.
that so? It seems
We
the
certainly
scion of so
condemn,
noble
strongly
house has
condemn
left the comfort of his
the
mansion
deployment
to
of
grace the
armies
unwashed
in
masses with his
Bolivia in an
wisdom.
attempt to subvert
Please, Milord,
constitutional
do
order.
share your
We're
esteemed
continuing. I
name
said
with
this
us.
last
We
week.
give
We're
you all the
continuing for the
respect
week
you
before to
deserve.
stand by democracy and the people of Bolivia, and that is where we're going to continue to stand.
Usus Alvarez.
Sure.
Not that I'd expect the name of an arrogant, stuck-up hedonist to lodge itself in that hard bed of yours.
He's from one of the 3 great houses.
The son of Duke Alvarez, Lord of the Koitsu province in the southeast.
Oh, you don't get much more noble than that.
Interesting. I'd heard the rumors.
So, to your
You expect me to be impressed? Your family lineage means nothing to me. I'll never bend my knee to the likes of...
So we welcome that. We're clear eyed that democratic change will not be easy and requires serious commitment. So we remain committed to supporting the will of the people of Venezuela and the path toward democratic governance via competitive and also inclusive elections. Any specific details about that, I don't have any to share about the diplomatic engagement, but we certainly welcome it.
What exactly does that involve? It's a form of outdoor competition, isn't it? Something like a cross between a map reading and a scavenger hunt?
He didn't miss me for his travels. That kind of advice that they get, because it gives the impression that his
Is that why they asked us to hand over our weapons at the gate?
Nothing gets by you, does it?
I didn't get into the president specifically about what he meant by that, so I want to be really mindful. I don't want to get into
I don't want to spoil the
But I
fun,
think what the
so
president was
let's
trying
get
to
started,
say
shall
is
we?
that he had a schedule that was rigorous. The travel that he had to do, crossing multiple, obviously, going from Italy all the way to the West Coast, and I think As you know, that can have a toll on anyone, whether you're 20 or 80.
Come on,
that can have a
Fee.
toll on you. And so I think that's what he was
No cheating.
alluded to,
You're
speaking
going with
to.
them, and that's
I
What's
don't
the
want to go
point in
beyond
having an
that because I
icebreaker
have
if you don't make a couple of new friends?
on the other component of when he was speaking about his staff. But as it relates to certainly the travel, it was rigorous. He had rigorous travel. We talk about it sometimes. I think I've mentioned this to some of your colleagues that he has especially when he travels abroad, it's pretty rigorous travel. We get tired looking at him doing his meetings and traveling.
I can't believe I fell for such an obvious
that's what he was
trap.
speaking to me, and I don't think it has a toll on regardless of what age you are.
There's a series of catacombs beneath the school grounds then?
What
does that woman think she's playing at?
I think the confusion is that he's still suffering from the effects of that nearly 2 weeks later. So can you articulate a little bit about
I thought my heart was going to jump out of my chest. Irene, are you
So can you when you say 2 weeks later,
Easy now. Hands where she can see them.
12 or 13 days before the debate. So his explanation for the debate for Congress is jet lag.
So what I want to say is the jet lag and also the cold, right? It is the two things, and that occurred. And you all heard it in his voice when he did the debate, right? And it is not even something that we shared ahead of time. You heard it in his voice and you confirmed it. And I think that's important to note as well. Like it is the jet lag.
I'm just glad you're okay.
But I want to be really clear. This is not an excuse. This is not an excuse. You all asked for an explanation, and we're giving an explanation. It is not an excuse. I don't want that to be the leading piece of this. As for the only reason we're sharing this, because it was asked of me here, and the president certainly wanted to give an explanation himself, and that's what he did yesterday. We want to, we understand that it wasn't his best night. It wasn't a great debate. We understand that, and we understand what supporters saw, what the American people saw, and what you all saw. And so we wanted to give an explanation. So I don't want to get into this, are you giving this excuse, not an excuse? We're giving you what our explanation was. We want to continue to make sure that we do everything that we can to deliver for the American people. That's what we're going to do.
I wanted to ask just about the schedule again. Because a lot of high-level Democrats,
And the devices we receive for the Academy guidance seems to be some sort of portable ordnance.
Right you are. These handy little devices are a special kind of battle ordnance.
Is that Miss Ballaston?
So these devices have built-in communications functionality then?
Oh, wait. Don't tell me these things are...
New model battle ordnance.
But for you, an emergency situation is taking almost a week for
Newly made fifth generation battle ordnance.
natural disasters and there's other things happening.
Arcus.
So these are battle ordnance. That means they'll allow us to use arts, right?
He did address it. He addressed it on Friday in North Carolina. In front of hundreds of supporters. He addressed it. And he talked about an issue that you all ask me about all the time. His age. Like he took it head on. Literally head on. He didn't run away from it. He didn't hide from it. He said, I am not a young man, obviously. I'm not as a good debater as I used to be. I don't talk as smooth. I don't walk as easily as I used to. He said it himself to hundreds of supporters in North Carolina. So I would disagree that he didn't take this head on. He did. He did. He talked about it in front of supporters.
I suppose it can't hurt to try.
And it's called 6 people.
But by the way, that matters, right? Engaging the American people and standing in front of them and being honest about that. And talking about age. Again, something that you all ask me about all the time. He took that right on. Now, he is talking and engaging with leaders. That is something that he's doing. He's having good conversations with them.
Oh, I see mine over there. Let me just go grab it, okay?
Governors who he believes have been really strong partners with him, delivering on some of these historic accomplishments. But I would disagree on him not taking this head on. I mean, being in North Carolina and taking that head on. Obviously, that's not the speech that he was going to give on Thursday.
What's this?
Right? The word of the debate. So he understood right? When he got to North Carolina, that he needed to address it. And he decided to do it in front of supporters. And he talked about it. I'm gonna go to the back. I'm gonna come back. Kevin. Sure.
Polling this week shows the president losing more ground in American eyes over immigration, over economy, and foreign policy. So does that, with everything else, diminish the position of the president as these local leaders are coming in for those meetings?
I don't think so. I don't think so. And I said this moments ago when I was answering a question from one of your colleagues. These foreign leaders have seen the president personally, up close, for the past 3 years. They have talked about his leadership. They have commended his leadership. They have been proud to see him as the president of the United States after what they experienced in the last administration. They have, some of them have been even quoted about what the president has been able to do during his past 3 years. German Chancellor Scholz. I think that Joe Biden is someone who is very clear, who knows exactly what he is doing, and who is one of the most
save this.
politicians in the world, especially when it comes to international politics. The Prime Minister